Hi everybody and welcome to today's demo of BrightPay payroll software. My name is Anne and I'll be conducting the webinar. Now if you have any questions during the course of this demo, keep them to the end. We will be calling each one of you afterwards and we'll address any questions you may have. Now the reason I'm showing you BrightPay 2019 is because I want to give you an overview of what modernisation is going to look like. We're still at the programming stage, but we're just about completed. So I feel safe in showing you this. Okay, so this is the opening dashboard of BrightPay, which will give you an overview of the employer name, the employer reg number, number of employees, it could be weekly, monthly, fortnightly. Literally everything that you want to see on this opening dashboard here can be shown here by choosing columns. So you can pick and choose those columns you want to see on that opening dashboard. Especially if you're a bureau, you want to may see a listing of your employers and just design that dashboard to suit your own requirements. You may be moving over from another software supplier and you can redesign here. There's also the option to set labels for you if you have clients, so you can color code them as per your requirements. The next tab here is the backup and self-service. So this is the backup to the cloud or BrightPay Connect. And I'll speak about this later on in the demo. So back out to my opening dashboard here. In here, we can import from Thesaurus Payroll Manager or other payroll software product. You can import from CallSoft, MicroPay, the Big Red Book, etc. We also have an import from Herbst. So if that's something you're interested in, that import will be available shortly. If you have a large listing of employers that you're migrating to BrightPay, once they're listed on a CSV file with the employer name and the employer reg number, you can import them all seamlessly into BrightPay. Thereafter, you'll have to import the employees, and you can import them from, at the moment, a P2C file. Next year, it'll be from the RPN. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new employer. Welcome to BrightPay. On the next screen, you can start at the beginning of the tax year. You can start partway or continue partway. Start partway would be for new employers that are setting up in the middle of the year. Continue partway if you're migrating mid-year from another software supplier. Now, if you want to migrate at the moment into BrightPay 2018, we can assist you. We do have migration specialists here who will help you out with the migration. BrightPay does allow a 60-day free trial. So if you want to move now and get practiced on BrightPay, we can assist you. We'll obviously give you a free license for tax year 2018. Assuming you're buying 2019 license. Okay, so let's get going. So we're going to start at the beginning of the tax year. So in here, I just use my cheat keys here and set up an employer name. So we'll call it C Harvest and the address of the company. In here, employees can be organised across departments. So if employees work in various departments within a pay period, you can weight them towards those departments and run departmental analysis. And you can literally set up as many departments as you wish and allocate those employees. Okay, on the next screen then, sorry, my mouse is jumping around. The typical pay frequency can be monthly, weekly, fortnightly, and 4-weekly. And you can have some of these or all of these pay frequencies within the same employer. The typical pay can be based on a monthly, weekly, fortnightly rate, further broken down by a daily rate or an hourly rate. Typical pay method is cash, cheque or credit transfer, and we are associated with all the main banks in Ireland for SEPA upload. So you can prepare a bank file and then log on to your bank and upload the credit transfer file. Annual leave can start any time in the year, but for this demo we are choosing the 1st of January. And annual leave can be calculated by the 8% of hours worked for hourly paid employees or the regular 20 days. So if you do have hourly paid employees, you can set up their profile to have their holidays calculated by that 8%. So for these employees, we're going to leave it there at 20 days. Obviously, if there's length of service and they have higher entitlement, you can change that holiday leave entitlement at the employee level. So in here, you'll pop in a password, very important to do so, especially with GDPR. making sure your data file is password protected. So we're going to save this, and we're going to save, you can save onto a folder, onto your C drive, into Dropbox, into Google Drive, onto a server. And we also have the added option of backing up the data to the cloud. And I'll speak about that later on in the demo. We call it BrightPay Connect. So no employees have been added. So the first thing I'm going to do is download employees from the RPN. So this is your, okay. So the revenue payroll notifications, which it's like the old P2C file, this will be available for 2019. So I'm going to add the selected employees. So 20 employees have been successfully added. So I'll click on OK. So I'll set up a monthly schedule. Now I could allocate some of these employees to weekly or fortnightly or monthly. So maybe we will do that. So I'll choose some of the employees and actually allocate them to a weekly payroll as well. Okay, weekly, and save. Go into the next one now. We'll change their pay schedules just to give you an option for all the different pay schedules here. We could have one on fortnightly if you wished, and 4 weekly. So back into the payroll now. So we will just set up our fortnightly and 4 weekly schedules, and the weekly one as well. So we have weekly, fortnightly, and 4 weekly, and continue. Right, so the various tiles here represent the various pay period types. So we have weekly, we have fortnightly, we have 4 weekly, and we have monthly. So let's go into the weekly payroll then, or maybe the monthly. We'll have a few more employees on there. Okay, so we've set up our schedule, we've imported our RPN, and you will always import your RPN each pay period. That's very, very important. That's the very first thing with PAYE Modernisation. The other previous thing to that is make sure you have your digital cert on the same PC as that which you're processing your payroll, so that you'll be able to retrieve your files and upload your PSR. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is Belle Flanagan, and we'll just pop in a monthly salary for her. Okay, the next one then. Here we're going to have a benefit in kind. So if I go into benefit in kind and to add, all the benefits in kinds are all programmed in here as per the rules and regulations to each of those. So we have vehicles, we have loans, we have accommodation, medical insurance, share-based remuneration, annual benefits or one-off benefits. So I am going to say it's a medical benefit. It's going to be annual. I'll say it's BHI, and the gross premium is 2,500, and I'll pop in a start date. So I'm just going to, oh sorry, it's going to be the 1st of January. I'm used to going back. Okay, we'll just say the 1st of January 2019. And there's no employee contribution, and we're going to save that. So you'll see that amount is flowing through, 212.33 for that benefit in kind. The next one then we have is Samson. And Samson is going to have an expense reimbursement. So he incurred a phone bill on behalf of the company and needs to be reimbursed. So there are lots of additions and deductions pre-programmed in, and you can always customize or set up your own ones as well. So I'm going to say it was €25 for the phone bill to be reimbursed. The next one then is Jael Maguire. He's earning quite a salary there. Maybe we'll reduce it down. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a new deduction type. Now we also cater for CWPS and NECI deductions. These are the construction and electrical workers pension deductions. But here we're going to set up a new deduction type. We say it's a gym membership, and we're going to say it's 50 per month and a repeat until manually removed. And we could reuse this for all employees. So there's 50 coming off the net pay, their deduction from net pay. You'll see it over here on the right hand side. With the next one then, Sylvester, we're going to just take a note that Sylvester is going on holidays. So we'll go in here and we'll just take a note on the calendar that he's taking some holidays, and we'll go over here to annual leave. Sylvester has 1 or more non-working days, and we'll click on continue. So out of his annual entitlement, he's using 15 and he's 5 days remaining. We're just taking a note of the holidays there. On the next one then, Cody is going to have a new pension set up. So if we go into pension schemes here, and we'll just say it's Aviva. And we'll say it's a PRSA, and we'll put in the Aviva reference number. And now you can either deduct by percentage or by a fixed euro amount. So we're going to say the employee contribution is 5% and the employer is 10%. And in the event that there was an ABC from the employee, an additional contribution, you'd pop it in here. So we'll just click on save. So you'll see those amounts here, those percentages will be coming off for pension deductions. On the next one then, we're going to say here that Patience is going on mat leave, maternity. So we'll just say it's starting now, and we'll say it's parenting leave and it's maternity. She's going for 26 weeks. So the employer is receiving the benefit to pass on to the employee. Okay, and the weekly benefit amount is, we'll say 250. And you can top it up or change it to a fixed amount, or try and achieve the gross earnings of, say, we'll say 2,500. Okay, so you can figure it out there for the mat leave there. So it'll populate the calendar. And you'll see the amounts are flowing through there, the maternity benefit and the top up there. So BrightPay will work it out for you. Okay, at this stage, before we finalise or close out the period, we're going to leave all the rest of the employees as they are. I think we should be able to do a preview. Okay, it's not there yet. Okay, but we will be able to show you a preview in the upgrade at the end of the year. It's a new thing that's coming through. But just assuming that everything is okay and you're happy enough, we will finalise the pay slips. Click on OK. So once the period has been closed out or finalised, you'll see these ticks here indicating a closed period, and you will see that the silhouette has gone into month number 2. So going back here, in the event that you ever need to reopen a payslip, you can simply go in here and reopen. So just say we wanted to change Patience McGrath. We could go in there and amend her. If you wanted to put in some other salary on top of all this, if you wanted to change anything at all, you can go in, reopen the payslips and refinalize. Finalize payslips. Click on OK. So once the period has been closed out or finalized, you'll see the green ticks here. So assuming that we're happy enough that everything is okay, we will run our analysis just before we send our PSR or the payroll summary report to revenue. So we've lots of different reports here. With the payroll summary, we'll run a report. So you'll see here the report is flowing through there. And we've lots of other pre-programmed reports. We've daily pay, audit trail, DSP benefits, hourly pay, notional pay, payroll summary, pensions, year to date, and in the more section, lots of other reports. Now we also have a report writer in BrightPay, so you can literally design any type of report you would like. So if you're moving over from another software supplier and our existing reports don't exactly match your requirements, or perhaps you have a client who has a particular requirement for a particular report, you can go in and design it here. So we'll just go in here, go to year to date, pop it in here, whatever you want, employer items. So you literally design anything there that's in BrightPay can be reported on. So based on the items I chose there, this is what is flowing through to that report. And this can be exported out as an Excel spreadsheet, a CSV file, or a PDF document. But we will also save it as a favorite so that for every period for that particular employer, this particular report will appear. And we can display it on the analysis toolbar. So every pay period, you'll be able to go in there and run that report. You don't need to recreate it. So it's up there on the toolbar. It's called Special Report. Okay, so we're happy enough that everything is okay. The next thing we will do is send our PSR. Sorry, that's the RPN, my submit to revenue. My apologies. So we're going to send the PSR there. So this is, we have the RPN retrieving those tax credits and cut-off points. We finalize our payroll. Assuming everything is okay, we will send that PSR. So this is an overview of what's going to revenue now. These are the submission details. And you must send this PSR every pay period and must be on or before. So on the pay date or before the pay date, but not after the pay date. That is really important. If you send it late, you will probably end up, if it's consistently late, with a fine from revenue or an audit. You want to avoid that. So it's best to get prepared for modernisation, making sure you have your payroll ready to finalise on or before the payday, and make sure you send that PSR. So that's submitting to revenue. So the key things with modernisation are, make sure you have your digital cert on your PC for starters, that which you're running the payroll on. The first thing you do when you go into your payroll each pay period is you run your RPN. When you finalise the pay slips, then you're happy enough that everything needs to go, you shall submit to revenue. Now, coming shortly will be the ability to send through corrections as well to revenue. It should be in our next upgrade, but it all will be ready for January 2019. Okay, so we've finalized the payroll. Now we've sent our submission. The next thing we can do is either print or email our pay slips. So this is a print preview if you're printing them, and that's what they look like. And you can export them out or email them as well, or email them directly to the employees. Now in the options section, there are other items you can add in. So you can customize your pay slips here based on these items. Okay, so we are compatible with, we have an A4 security type payslip if that's what you're interested in. And we also sell 2 per page, perforated across the middle with accompanying envelopes. Now, more popular would be the email payslips. So let me just go in and add in a few email addresses here. If you bear with me a second. Bell Flanagan. All right. So save. And what else is payment is monthly. Let's just get more monthly paid employees. Okay, so this one here is Shane. Right, and we'll pop in one for Shane as well. Obviously, if you're importing, you're more than likely from another software supplier, you'll be able to import the employee email addresses. Absolutely no problem. Yeah. Now back into the payroll, we're going to email payslips, and we have 2 employees set up with email addresses. So I'll pop in a reply to address and save. Right, so those pay slips are fully encrypted, going through the BrightPay server, and should be in the employee's inbox within 2 or 3 minutes. Now, what I would advise you to do perhaps would be to password protect them. It's really important, you know, vis-a-vis GDPR or whatever, to make sure they're password protected. It's not mandatory under GDPR, but we would advise you to do so. Okay, so we have the payroll complete. We have imported our RPNs. We've entered in all our figures for the week. We've finalized and we've submitted to revenue. We've printed our pay slips. These pay slips can also be exported out as a PDF if you wish, and click on export if you want to email them in bulk. And you can go in and add them, attach them to an email then. So they are exporting out as a PDF. So I'll close out of there. Okay, in the More section then, you go in here. In the More section, you can view workings. So for any of the employees at any given time, if perhaps an employee comes to you, you could be on week 4, and they say, how did you calculate the payroll there? You will see everything on a cumulative basis based on the tax, the USC, etc., and the local property tax if it exists there. So that's on the workings. So very, very handy one there. Okay, so in here you can export a summary out if you wish of your payroll as well. So it's just a very, very handy one there if you wanted to ever export out a summary of the payroll. We also have journal exports out to QuickBooks, to Sage and to Xero. So the next thing I'm going to do is actually manually set up a new employee. So if I go into employees, because I import them all from the RPN, so I just want to show you just setting up one from scratch. So if I go into new employee, just pop in something here, and the date of birth, we'll just pop that in. We'll say she's a female, and we'll pop in an email address. And save. Now, the next thing we'll do is go into the employment section. So obviously you'll pop in the PPS number, and if it's the employee's first employment, you will choose that. And if it's an additional employment or recommencement in the tax year, you can show it there, or you want to manually enter an employment ID. So employment IDs will feature for automatic enrolment. So if you want to put in an employment ID, you can pop it in here yourself. If you want to pop in a works number, start date, leave date, if they're a director, if they're were not a director, but if they are, you put in proprietary or non-proprietary director. And if the employee is paid under a shadow payment arrangement, no, we'll leave that one there. The next one is department. So if they worked in various departments within a pay period, you can weight them towards those departments. So I'm going to say they worked in the front desk and they worked in marketing. And you can run your cursor along there and weight them towards those departments. In here, this employee is going to be paid hourly. So we're going to calculate their holiday leave entitlement based on the number of hours worked by the 8%. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to say 8% worked irregular hours. Now, if you use BrightPay in a previous tax year, you can carry over any unused leave. So that more likely come into effect in 2020 if you're just using BrightPay from now. And if there's any annual leave adjustment, you can pop it in there, whatever it is. They may have extra leave or whatever, or extra hours accrued. Working days are Monday through Friday, but you can have a 7-day cycle as well. Then we go into the revenue details here. So you'll see the cutoff points, the credits, the cutoff points, the USC monthly breakouts there, the PRSI class exemption. If there's LPT, local property tax, to be deducted, you'll pop it in there. And the ASC calculation, that's the public sector one, formerly known as the PRD pension. Right, okay. On the next section here, in the payment section, I'm going to say this employee is paid maybe 4 weekly and on an hourly rate. And if they're being paid by credit transfer, you'll pop in their bank details here. So as I said earlier, you can prepare a bank file for upload to AIB or Bank of Ireland or whatever, permanent TSB, whatever bank you wish. In the HR screen then, you can type in nationality, passport number, job title, PDF password, and you can randomly create one if you wish, but you would have to send that on to the employee. And if they're using the employee self-service portal, starting salary, employment arrangements, next review date, medical and notes. And the last one then is the CSO. So you may have to report under CSO rules. And we're going to say it's part-time employee and hours worked per week are 20 and is less than or equal to the minimum wage, or if there's an exclusion order in place. Okay, so we've effectively set up our new employee. And if we go in there, we shall see here that they're going to be paid hourly. So you can set up as many hourly rates as you wish. We'll go in here and add an hourly pay, and we shall call it a Sunday rate. We call it a Sunday rate. So you can set up as many hourly rates as you wish and customize them. Now we'll say it's €20 per hour. It's an overtime rate, and we can accrue the annual leave for this as well. So we've all the various wage rates there, and we've allocated them across departments, and we put it in 8 there. Okay. Right, so what we'll do now is we are going to finalize our pay slips. Finalize. An RPN is not yet. Now, it'll always remind you about your RPN, but we'll just continue anyway. But you should always make sure the very first thing you do in the payroll is retrieve your RPNs before you go in and start entering any figures. Okay, so we have set up the pay slips there with all the various hourly rates. Now, if I go into employees and go into CALI and go into more, we'll look at the annual leave entitlement there for CALI. I hope it worked it out at the 8%. It didn't. Okay, so let me go back in and go back into CALI, employees. This is the new software, so we may not have put in the holiday leave entitlement yet. It's not quite completed, but based on 8% of hours worked, it will always accrue the holiday leave entitlement. So it hasn't been programmed into 19 yet. My apologies for this, but it will be there. Okay, so here we have the tax deduction cards as well for each employee. So you'll see the breakout there week by week. This can be exported out or printed. Here we have the RPN for each employee. Okay, so we didn't retrieve the RPN for that one, but we should have one for this one. Okay, so here's the RPN. So you'll always see at any given time when we imported that RPN, or really the P2C file for this employee, you'll always see what's happening with them. And if there were any changes, you'll see them detailed here in a log. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is an employee leaving. So if we go in here and bear with me a second now, payroll, we're going to employees. Okay, so we should be able to put in employment, pop in a leave date. So we're going to say this person is leaving at the end of January. Okay, 31st. Okay, and save the changes. Back into the payroll again. And if we go in here and just check to see who was leaving, finalize. Okay, we should be able to see the P45s now. Okay, actually there won't be a P45, it'll just be a date of leaving. Things have changed, the P60s, the P45s are gone, so they won't actually appear, but that will flow through on the PSR. When we submit that to revenue, you can continue now and send through that PSR. So that PSR will go through and it'll show the leave date for that employee. Okay, the last thing we are going to look at are the revenue payments. So you will, if you're paying your P30 monthly, you'll continue to do so. It won't change with modernisation. Or if you pay quarterly or yearly, they will remain the same. So that it changes with modernisation or the retrieval of the RPN, making sure you have the digital cert on the same PC as that of your payroll, and submitting your PSRs. Okay. So here you will see the monthly P30s, and there they are for January and February. And if we look here, we can view it for January. So you'll see a breakout there, how it's worked out. And these can be exported out or printed. So closing out of there now, back into the payroll again. You just keep going on. The next thing I want to show you actually is a net to gross projection. So in the event that you ever need to do a net to gross, we'll just get Bal Flanagan there, and we'll go into our spanner here and click on net to gross. Okay, net to gross, pop in my desired net pay, calculate, and that'll gross up to 6132.58 to achieve that net pay. So that's effectively really what the payroll is looking like for 2019. And obviously there are a few little bits missing there that haven't been programmed as yet for the calculation of the holidays there, but that'll be coming shortly in the next upgrade. The other option here is to filter. So you can filter your employees by department, by payment method, directorship, first name or surname. In here then, in the question mark there, we have online documentation. Now, there's also the batch option here. So you can import payment records from CSV files, be they monthly payments, daily payments, hourly payments, additions, deductions, and notes. You could add an addition to multiple payslips, a deduction, or add a note to multiple payslips. So that obviously is for weekly, monthly, fortnightly, all those other options, those batch items are there. So if you have CSV file imports, maybe it's clocking in systems, be they weekly payments, daily payments, hourly payments, additions, deductions, and notes, you can import them all from a CSV file into BrightPay. In the file section here, if you want to create a backup to a USB key or an external one, you create a snapshot. We also have agent settings in the events that you are a bureau and uploading files for clients as well. So they're the agent settings there. Okay, so the next thing we are going to look at is BrightPay Connect. So what is BrightPay Connect? Well, the payroll itself is a desktop application, but what Connect offers you is a backup to the cloud. So it offers you employer and employee self-service options. Now, BrightPay Connect offers you the backup to the cloud. So it's backing up to the cloud every 15 minutes when the payroll is open and once again when you're closing out. So it's an add-on to the desktop application of BrightPay. Now for 2019, with every single employer that's purchased, we will offer a free Connect license, one free Connect license. So we're aware with modernisation that it's really important that employers have a safe and secure backup. So it's an introductory offer for 2019. So once you purchase a BrightPay license, you'll automatically get a license for BrightPay Connect. So in other words, what's happening is you still process your payroll on the desktop, but what Connect offers you is a safe and secure backup to the cloud. It also offers you the ability to share data. If you're a bureau, you can add your client in and they can log in and run their own reports on the payroll and have an overview of the payroll. It also offers an employee self-service portal whereby the employees, once they've been invited, can log on to their own portal and they can view it via any browser, be it PC, Mac, tablet or smartphone, and they'll be able to access the payslips at a time designated by you. So they could say normally receive their pay slips or get paid on a Friday. Well, you can order Connect to actually send a notification to the employees that their pay slips will be there and available to them on Thursday at 9 a.m. So they'll be able to get a notification through their portal and they can view it via any browser. We also have an app. They get a notification, they log in and they'll be able to access their pay slips. So I already linked this company earlier on in the demo. So once a company is linked, whoever logs in will be able to see their employer details, due to HMRC and any upcoming events. Now, obviously, the employees will only have access to their own payroll data. What in effect happens is you'll send them an email invitation with a link embedded in that email. They'll double click on the link, they'll set up their own password for the portal, and thereafter manage their own account. So in the event that they just need to access their payslips, they can do so 24/7, 365. So if we look at Cameron there, bear with me a second now. If Cameron logged on to his own self-service portal, he'll be able to view all his pay slips there. There's also a document there, a HR document, because you can upload any type of document into the employee's portal. Could be a contract employment company handbook. Any document that would pertain to an employee's employment can be loaded into the portal. So it can act as a great HR solution. So if Cameron logged in, he'll see his employee details and his own personal calendar. If he logged into his documents then, he'll see all his payslips there in chronological order. And if we look here in the HR documents, there's documents and training documents there as well for him. So he'll be able to log in and access his payslips. So you could advise Connect that you want the employees to receive their payslips at 9 a.m. on Friday morning. They'll get a notification to that effect and they'll be able to log in. So you no longer need to worry about emailing and printing payslips. All that will be there and available to them. Here's the employee calendar. Now, if you let me, I'll just go back to January because there's a few different holidays on here. If you bear me a second. Sorry for all the click-throughs. Okay, so if we look at January, any holidays, etc., that were set up on the desktop application of BrightPay will appear here. So we have yellow indicates that somebody's on annual leave, green is parenting leave, the orange is absence leave, and the pink there is, oh, the pink is absence leave rather. The orange is unpaid leave. So all the various colours denote the different leave types. So it's synchronizing from the desktop up to the calendar and the calendar back down. So this is an overview of all the leave for all the employees. Now, obviously, the employee themselves would only see their own leave on their own calendar. The employee also has the option to go in and amend their address or telephone number. So in the event that they change address telephone number, they can send a change request through the cloud, through Connect. The user, whoever is managing the Connect, will accept it, and that'll update their file on the desktop application of BrightPay. It's incumbent on the employer to keep the most up-to-date information on the employees, and this puts the onus back on the employee to keep the employer informed of any address change or telephone number change. Now, they've no access to change their date of birth, their PPSN number, or their bank account details. They cannot send a change request through the portal, but they could obviously advise the payroll person or the processor directly, but not through this option. So the address and telephone number. And in the event that the employees forget their password, they can go in and reset their own password. So you'll never get a request for I forgot the password. So it just saves, it's a huge amount of work emailing, printing pay slips. Under GDPR, the employees are supposed to have easy and transparent access to their payroll data. So Connect gives them 24/7, 365 in a very safe and secure environment because it's all in the cloud. And we use Microsoft Azure as the data center, which is located within the EU. Right, on to the next tab here. So all the reports that were set up on the desktop application of BrightPay will appear here. So if we look at the payroll summary report. So anyone can go in here. I mean, anybody, a user who's a clearly defined user can go in and run the reports. Obviously, the employees won't see anything else except their own portal. But if you set up a user, if you're a bureau, you could set up your client as a user to go in and run reports. We already looked at the calendar. The next one is the revenue now. So the client, if you have a client, or you yourself, if you're a single employer, you may wish to add your accountant or your finance department, and they'll be able to have a look and see what's due on the P30 monthly return. Then we have the document upload. So you can upload contracts, employment, company handbooks. Any document that would pertain to an employee's employment can be loaded into the employee's portal. So it could be training links to webinars, it could be anything. It can also act as a notice board. So in effect, you can send notifications through to the employees. It could be the Christmas party, it could be a training event that's happening. So you can just add a notification and send it through the portal to the employees. So it's a great communication tool as well. Then we go into the settings, and in the employer details, you can pop in your company logo and the contact details, whoever is managing Connect. Back into the settings again. There's also the option for employees to request annual leave through the portal. Now, if this is not something you want the employees to have, you simply switch it off. Also, they allow employees to update their personal details, i.e. their address or telephone number changes. But these can be switched off if you don't want to give them that access. I mean, you don't need to invite the employees to Connect. They can still remain with email or print pay slips and merely use Connect as a backup to the cloud. But it's a really valuable option. It saves a lot of worry or wondering, do they get their pay slips, emailing, printing, etc. If the employees are looking for all their historical pay slips, they can log into their portal and access those. Right, in the notifications then, this is what items an employee will see. in there, well, it'll be pay slips after 2019. Obviously, there'll be no P60s or P45s. And in the event of a zero pay slip, do not send a notification. So they'd really be accessing their pay slips through the cloud, or if you wanted to upload contracts, employment, or company handbooks in there. So it can act as a really good solution in the also with the fact that you can actually allow the employees to request annual leave and manage it all through the portal. That's effectively the end of the Connect demo. I do separate demos for Connect if it's something you are interested in, but that's just to give you an overview. And you will be receiving, for a single employer, a free Connect license. So you can use it as a backup to the cloud, and maybe later on then, if you want the employees to use the self-service portal, it's something you may consider, but a really valuable option. And obviously it's normally €59, and we're giving one free. Now, if you have additional employers, you'd have to purchase licenses for additional, but for one single, it's free. Okay, so really we've effectively come to the end of the demo. In here, I'm just going to show you the 2018 online documentation that wasn't available yet in 2019. So in here we've online documentation and a lot of video tutorials as well in relation to everything to do with the features in BrightPay. So we've come to the end of the demo. Just to let you know, the pricing for BrightPay, one single employer is €149 plus VAT. A bureau license then is $299. Unlimited employers, unlimited employees. The single employer, $149, is unlimited employees and caters for everything. There's no extra charge for modernisation. That's the price, and that includes your support Monday through Friday. We will be running more in-depth webinars on PAYE Modernisation, and if you go to www.brightpay.ie/events, you'll be able to log on there and register for any of our webinars in relation to PAYE Modernisation that we're running in conjunction with Revenue. So you can run a 60-day free trial now on BrightPay 2018, and 2019 will be available mid-December. It'll be released mid-December with all the functionality that was slightly missing there in the 2019. And the reason obviously I showed you 2019 was just to show you how modernisation was going to work. So the key features being having your digital cert, retrieving the RPNs, and uploading your PSORs on or before the payday. So they're the key things on modernisation. And as you will see here from BrightPay, it's a really easy, intuitive package. So if you're migrating, we will assist you with migration. And that's it. We've effectively come to the end of the demo, and I thank you all for joining me today. We will be calling each one of you afterwards. So have your questions ready. There is a survey at the end of the demo. If you want to fill it out, we will address the questions on your callback. So I wish to thank you all for joining me this afternoon, and the webinar is now over. Thank you and bye-bye.